I think photography is actually one of the primary subjects of this show, or at least the role of images. So, for example, like one of the points of departure for this show is thinking about using the photographic technique of enlargement as a conceptual framework for making really big objects. And in photography, you enlarge something typically to gain clarity about the image or what's depicted. But in this case, things are enlarged to such a degree that the information is actually obscured, and it's also potentially overwhelming. So before you enter the exhibit, there is a mural on the wall that appears to be of kind of like a stack of tattered documents on which there is sort of like trompe-l'oeil text applied. And so the text is a mix of both like the fictional narrative of the show as well as the sort of expository information about the show that one might usually find at the beginning of a museum exhibition. And so I guess the language that I used in the narrative, which is supposed to be in the form of a letter, is actually borrowed from this creative writing wiki called the SCP Foundation. So this is like a sort of, the SCP Foundation is something that I found out about actually through a video game that was made based on it. And it's this like creative writing project where people, like any authors can contribute text to this, what appears to be like a wiki online about the test subjects at this enigmatic research facility. And that's basically like the only prompt that you have. But it looks kind of convincingly real. Like in making the show, I was thinking a lot about footnotes and like marginalia, which is kind of like, which is metadata essentially. So that's kind of depicted in the way that the document piles or like these like dossier platforms have the figure captions on the sides, which are the names of tracks on the audio guide, which you can listen to and to get more information about the corresponding image that the caption is paired with. So these platforms are they're meant to represent stacks of documents that are pinned onto the bulletin board. Well, I guess like a bulletin board is an interesting object because it's meant to organize things, but also a space that allows for like a degree of a lack of a resolution or for like modularity. And it's interesting to me how things accumulate on a bulletin board. For me, that like relates to like the sort of meandering path I take when doing research and relating to sort of the tropes and like motifs of like crime dramas and stuff. Like that's the bulletin board with the threads connecting all these disparate ideas is, I think, a very familiar image. And so I think in translating that into an actual installation-based artwork, I was hoping that like by using that form, that a viewer could kind of have a similar experience of like almost like the pleasure of meandering through information. And so that's a part of why like I wanted the viewer to be on the bulletin board so that they are also part of the information themselves. That like, I suppose that's kind of about them being like, I feel like hopefully it gives you like more agency in a way in deciding what path you take.